Welcome to another episode of Prep Radio. Tom Blackman with Paul Scarborough, and we also have a special guest referee in the form of Matt Toften here today. So say hello, both of you.
Hello.
Well,
when you say radio, is that not video then? Do I not need to look pretty?
Well, we actually do YouTube now. So this recording, so now you're going to be on YouTube. So if you want us to stop, you can go and like polish yourself up a bit and come back. That'll be okay.
Sharpen your beard.
I mean, to be fair, Paul never gets dressed up, so doesn't even tidy his room. That's why he's got it all blurred out at the back.
Hey mate, I'm thankful I'm still breathing. I don't give a fuck what people say about me. Jesus, let's be fair here. But welcome to the podcast, Matt. We've been talking about getting a guest on for quite some time, and although we do end up talking a lot about bodybuilding, and to be honest, there's plenty of podcasts out there that just talk about bodybuilding and just talk about training and things like that.
What we like are still bodybuilders.
Yeah. What we like to do is talk about sort of the differences between past and present and what happens behind the scenes and, things like that. Everybody remembers stuff, memories, and, just things that everybody can relate to. So, I obviously said we'll get Matt on, and Tom, being Tom, is like, Matt who? And, so because he's he only realized he was an expo this year because he got invited to give out coffee, and then he ended up on a stage talking bollocks. So,
I should say that actually that was, I think, 2 weeks after I was in hospital for a heart issue. So that's my win for this year, is actually getting on stage after that.
Use, don't abuse. Just saying.
What, coffee? So, ironically, I actually cut out all my monsters about 3 or 4 weeks before that, and was reducing my caffeine down. So maybe that was the issue.
That was the shocker, yeah.
Too little caffeine.
Yeah, I don't know what I reduced down before 2017, but that really shocked the shit out of my body. So, right. So we were talking about what were we talking about? 2012.
You've forgotten already. It's literally like 2 minutes ago.
See?
I told you about this, Matt. It's just, you'd be talking about something and then talk about it again.
And then, so 2012. We were talking about certain individuals and doing things at shows. Like I was saying, 2012, Ian got a little bit upset with the
hold up, rewind, because we were not recording at that point.
Oh, right.
So you need to rewind back to what we were talking about was UK BFF, and this was before we started recording. God, just professionalism is so rubbish. It's.
Do you see what I have to deal with? Seriously.
Okay,
right, that's the hour. See you later, guys.
So let's just set the scene. Okay, so the reason Matt's on is because he is a current bodybuilder, and a very good one, who has very good knowledge. And so we got him on to talk about the current state of bodybuilding as compared to our time, because we're now the dinosaurs. So that's the scene for people who weren't in our preamble chat 5 minutes ago. So we were talking about UK BFF because when me and Paul were competing, that was one of the biggest federations, and it's a bit dog shit now.
I did actually. I made a post the other day because I don't know if any of you saw it. Someone put up a picture of a paper form with the details for the universe on. So for NABBA. So they'd taken a picture, so that NABBA hadn't got it digitally released it like everybody else does. They'd still put it in paper form, and someone had taken a picture of it and put it up on Facebook as an advertisement. So I actually shared that and was like, wouldn't it be great if you had the ability to digitalize this and share it on things like social media? And I got a lot of there's some comments, and I got a lot of a couple of messages saying about the state of NABA, and that led to us talking about the 2008, 2010, 2012, when Southport for the NABA Britain was an event, and so was the UKBFF Britain in Nottingham. And a lot of people contributed about that, about saying how there was no real divide, and it was really just a place where everybody came together. And I don't think there is that now. I think the FitX Expo, that was quite good for that. That was quite good, wasn't it? You both was there. You were there for the whole weekend, weren't you, Matt?
Yeah. I think the expos are good. I mean, I was a little bit disappointed with the bodybuilding stage at the expo, more in comparison to last year. They had like a raised stage, whereas it's all like an afterthought this year with poor lighting. And again, the same happened at the Arnolds with Two Bros last year. They had the main stage; it was phenomenal. The stage of the pros had this year, but the amateur show was the other side of the NEC in the corner, like on a plinth, no lights.
Oh, right.
So
it wasn't the same stage then.
Oh no, the amateurs were in a different location, and the stage was terrible lighting. And I think the similar sort of in comparison happened at FitX this year. And I mean, obviously they have to go with the money at things like these expos, but last year was very bodybuilder, and this year felt it was more inclusive of all the sports. But I think the CrossFit and the MMA contributed a big amount of money. Because they had a lot of participants. So they sort of got given a really large space where the bodybuilding stage was last year. And last year was one of the best stages I'd seen in any of the shows in terms of the lights and everything. It was one where you almost look better on stage, whereas these days you seem to have to, everyone just looks shit. Because
everybody needs to go in a fucking elevator, don't they?
And besides PCA, no one really seems to care that much about lighting.
And that's a weird one, isn't it? Remember, like at the pro levels, when me and Paul were competing, and at the pro level in America, everyone always used to rave about the Ironman Classic because that was like the best lighting show, and they all wanted to go there because they looked the best there. I just remember that's being like, and it was a small show in comparison to say the Arnolds or the GNC thing that came along after a while, and the Olympia. Yeah. But the Ironman was a very small show in comparison. But everyone back then was always about, I need to compete there.
There's comments about that. Go on, Matt. Sorry.
I don't obviously remember, but having seen like footage of like the 99 Grand Prix in Britain with that downlighting, where, I mean, again, this is sort of one of the arguments I have with people that talk about, oh, the 90s was the best. Sometimes I think the lighting, it's not as harsh as it is these days. Sometimes you get that light where, and then the VHS camera or whatever that's actually taking the footage plays a little bit into the hands of, oh, look at this footage. Like no one looked, I mean, they were all phenomenal bodybuilders at that 99 Grand Prix, but it was like being stood in your kitchen with a halogen light and just getting everything you could possibly want. It hid the bad bits and just highlighted the good round muscle. It wasn't harsh. It didn't show. So I don't know whether when people talk about, oh, they were in much better condition, I think sometimes the stage lights can be a big part of that.
I agree. I'm 52, so the 90s and stuff like that with the bodybuilders that I was around and stuff like that, and they were brilliant. And I look at pictures now and you think, wow, you got Leveron and Coleman and and they all look amazing. But like you said, lighting, I think, and I believe this for most federations, I think FitX, the finals, the lighting wasn't great there either this year. And and I agree with you on the PCA. I just don't think they give it the attention, the time and attention and money that it needs. You know, I've seen stages where literally you might as well jump off the stage when you go left because the lighting you're in a shadow, you know. And when you've got 12, 15, you know, people on that stage on the initial come out, you know, you're losing a good 3 or 4 on either side. And I just think I agree with you, a little bit more thought to lighting. But maybe that might be something that FitX can take for next year, because I agree the stage for the original one was a lot better than the one now, because I think they tried to do too much with one stage, because didn't they do powerlifting or that sort of thing and the bodybuilding on that, and the CrossFit people had virtually the whole width of the place, the hall. So,
I mean, in fairness, CrossFit does require a lot of space to do the stuff, and
only because they do stuff wrong. When you do a pull-up, you just go up and down, don't you? You don't need to flip around and shit. But the Expos at Manchester, I think it is next year. Is it Manchester?
Well, I made a post about this I put on Instagram, because obviously, well, I'm not a big fan of city centres anyway, hate them. But obviously at Liverpool last year wasn't too bad, because I managed to get an apartment very close that had underground parking. So, and then I could just walk across to it. But the year before, I booked my hotels a year in advance, and I've been waiting, and they've been keeping the location secret. And then they finally announced it, so I went to get my hotels, and like the Holiday Inn was £568 for 2 nights. And anything nearby in the city centre, you're looking like £400, £500, £600, £700, £800 for the weekend.
Wow!
I don't know whether they've put it on the same weekend as a big event that's obviously driving prices up.
I would hope not, though. You would hope that they would do the research into seeing what events are on at the same time, because you know that's a norm, isn't it? That's, you know, I go to Heathrow to stay in hotels there a lot with my day job, and you know, when Wimbledon comes on, you know, the Premier Inn has gone from £100 to £300. You know, I remember once I went in there and they told me the price. I was like, that's okay. I'm not going to Wimbledon, so how much is it for my room? You didn't see the funny side, but you know, but yeah, it happens, and it happens everywhere, you know. So I would hope they haven't done, because I think Pride is on in May as well, the beginning of May, Manchester Pride. I wonder if it's that weekend. So you'll be up then, Tom?
It's the 13th and 14th of May, isn't it? I know that because the Fit Expo, because it's the Saturday and Sunday is the day before Jacob's birthday. That's how I know.
Birthday,
yeah, and that's why I couldn't attend Body Power for a couple of years in a row, because it was always Jacob's birthday, so I didn't go.
So Matt, what do you, with the current bodybuilding as it is, the current scene, not necessarily any one thing, what do you, because I know you're very honest with your views, you know, and I've been known to be, but what are the things that are biting you at the moment, and what do you think is improved? Don't worry, we'll edit out all names.
Oh no, keep it all in. It just, obviously there's only so much knowledge that can belong in the world of bodybuilding, and it's like a very shit game of Chinese whispers, where you have the people at the top that they know what they're talking about and they're passing the knowledge on, and then you just have shit just rolls downhill, because everyone wants to then make their own content and regurgitate the previous person's. And then before you got it, the message has been slightly lost because no one actually understood it along the way. And then they're telling their followers on Instagram, this is how you do it. And maybe the guy at the top wasn't that far away, or there was context or something to his post. But rather than someone just credit or share and say, this person said this, they'd go, oh, I need to make my own version so I can make money off this. And that's where I feel like everyone is. I click on Instagram, oh, who's this person who's just followed me? Online coach. Like,
oh,
200,
God, yeah.
200 followers. But then it's like, you've got a day job as well. You're not an online coach. You just putting your toe in the water. And they're trying to learn along the way. And they have no
I just
hope.
point out to everybody, I've got a day job as well.
But Paul's got a day job and he's an online coach.
But, you know what I mean? It's sort of like,
I get it.
I want to try and make a cheeky £500 a month extra. If I don't get it, it's cool. But if I can fuck someone one up along the way, we'll do it. And
I get, you know, I'll randomly go along Instagram with either people who follow me or people I follow, and they'll have a picture with someone. I go, oh, who's that? And I'm going, and it's like Bethany, blah blah blah, online coach. Stephen, blah blah blah, online coach. Wellness and mindfulness, online coach. And it is at the point, because when I was competing back in, because I warrant the years of around about 2005 to 12 as my like good competitive years. And I remember being asked and people not understanding why I had a coach, you know, and I was an online coach way before it was cool to be an online coach. You know, my first client was like 25 years ago, and I was a coach, and then Harold Marilia was my first coach, and then I was coached by Skip Hill over in America, Scott Stevens, and Phil Lerney. I've only had 4 coaches, and people just couldn't understand how a coach who had knowledge to coach people needed a coach to coach them. And
the difference now is that you can't do a bodybuilding show unless you have a coach. Whereas when we were competing, or just before, is if you had a coach, you weren't ready to compete because you didn't know enough. That's the transition now, isn't it? It's like I've got to compete, so I need to give someone $3,000 to coach me for 12 weeks, but to get on stage. I don't understand that.
I think this goes with your post that you put up the other day, Matt, though, about when you said it's not aimed at the elite or it's not aimed at the beginners. It's aimed at that crowd of people, male and female, that believe that there's a thing, a secret, when you turn pro, you get taken for 6 weeks to the Alaskan mountains, and you get told all these secrets that you can come back and step on a pro show 3 stone heavier. You know, there's those people that truly and honestly believe that.
The Alaskan mountains where they make IGF-1 just to sort of put that out.
Don't bother it, shit.
No, like real IGF-1, you know, the good stuff, not the stuff that amateurs use. Yes. Yeah.
You forget, mate. I am old enough to know when that first came into the country, but a lot of your post resonates with me because that's how I feel. I'm like, there is a need for coaches to be coached. I was coached because I had too much information in my head, and I would like just I'll do that. And 2004 was my last West Britain that I did without a coach, and actually it was the last West Britain I lost before 2015 with Tom. I went 10 years with a coach with it because I didn't have to do anything. I had input, but I didn't have to make massive decisions. That I think when you're at the end of prep, I think you can't sensibly make logical decisions. Did you just prep yourself on your own, or was that one before, Matt?
The last two shows, yeah, I prepped myself fully for the first one this year in April, and then this year I prepped myself, and then the last sort of week, I asked someone to help peak me, mainly because I felt like the previous show. Well, I'm not coachable really.
Nor is he.
And I don't, obviously, the reason I work very well with SAS is because it's a very good relationship. We agree on a lot of things, but I find it difficult when I've spent sort of 10, 12, 13 years learning a lot of things, and then along the way discarding what I didn't like, and then keeping what I did like, and then being told to do something that I discarded like 8 years ago. And everyone has their own ways of doing stuff, their own sort of philosophies. And I always say, when you're finding a coach, there has to be some kind of buy-in. Even if this person tells you this will work and you not enjoying it, or you're not going to get the results, because if you don't truly believe that you're doing the best thing for you, I don't think it will work. And if a coach says to me and I just flat out don't think it's any good, I'll just say no. So I think there's no point in me necessarily doing that. The reason I've always hired, or it's more of a learning thing as well. I'm not the type of person that hire someone and ask them loads of questions, but I'm very good at learning on the job. I take a whole process and I can just break it down and see why something was done, the effect it had, and then get the experience. I'm not there to pick someone's brains, but I think if I'm going to learn, I wouldn't want to go and do a course. I'll say, right, I'll get in and let's go. And then I'll go along that bit and take the information from it myself.
Matt, when you have a coach, and you win, do you then copy that plan and give it to all your clients? You're not a proper coach then.
The thing is, sorry. Go
on, Matt.
So like in the past, obviously, I was trained by Jordan, coached by Jordan, and the amount of times people used to sign up to me thinking they were getting like the cheaper version.
Yeah.
And I'd say, no, I don't just pass on. I have my own belief. Even though I'm with this person, I buy into it, I also have my own beliefs and philosophies, and I do things my way. So it was quite insulting, I think, when you could tell someone was coming because they think, oh, you're just going to get the watered down version, and then you don't. That's sort of in the past. Now I very am much my own, but even now I still get some people that think they think I'm the watered down version of SAS. I'm very, very much my own coach with my own knowledge and viewpoints. But yeah, I think sometimes they just think that they can sign up and just get the results.
Yeah.
I think that's happened with a lot of people, hasn't it? If they win used to happen, if they win the British and then, or whatever, get the pro card, and then that year, that person has so many people as clients because they think he's got the magic sauce. And then the next year, they'll be on to the next person and the next person because they're just looking for that magic sauce.
I think that's how there's a weird sort of the way. This is how all these top coaches seem to be operating at the moment. There's either, no, don't get me wrong, they know their stuff, but you either get a golden ticket, you get that one break, that one client that a monkey could prep, and then all of a sudden everyone says, I want to look like that. Right, who's their coach? And that one client that anybody could have done a good job with pulls in 10. And out of them 10, you've got 2 very, very hard workers that are very easy to coach and they've got the genetics and going to do well. Then those 2 pull in 10. And it seems to be a way that either you work very hard for that or you can get a bit lucky. But at some point, the momentum picks up for a coach where all of their clients are now people that anybody in the world could prep. They're never ever going to get a bad result or a bad client. They're not always going to win, but they might finish 5th, 4th, but they still look incredible because they've either earned the right to or got lucky to attract people that will just achieve. I would never do badly because my mentality is it would take a very, very bad coach to mess me up because I'm just driven and get things done.
Yeah, and because of that, you wouldn't let that happen. Out of those 4 that I mentioned, I chose those 4 guys because they had something that I wanted to learn. And like you, Matt, I learn it on the job. You know, I'll go through it. It's like I've had client, and again, a coach is only as good as the work that the client puts in. You know, chicken is chicken. You know, treadmills are treadmills. You know, an exercise is an exercise. It's not made better by the coach. And I agree with you. You know, we all have our own little thing to add and whatever, and be that personality. Because I know great coaches who are really shit at communication, and they will lose clients not because they're not getting the results for the clients, but because they're shit at communication. And then I know okay coaches that are really good with communication and really sort of spoil them and whatever, and they keep, you know. So it is down to the individual coach. But I wanted to know
Sometimes
about.
It's not communication. Sometimes it's not communication. I think sometimes people think they're paying for a friend as well. You know, when they, I've never understood this, and then they start telling you about their day, and where's that sort of. I mean, I've got clients that you make a relationship with and you do bond with, but you can tell when someone's just come to you and then they're just on you, they're just badgering you all the time. Like, oh, I've hired you to be an encyclopedia. Like, it doesn't work like that. This is a process. But I think sometimes I've seen, oh, you're not very nice, like you're not very chatty. I'm going to go somewhere else. Or they just pay. Or they just pay to get a hashtag. Oh, I want this person to repost me. I'm going to them.
Such a grumpy fuck. Why did we invite him on?
We're
friends now. We're friends. We've got your number now. That's it.
Does it still happen, Matt, that when you take on clients, and obviously don't name any names unless you want to, but when you take on clients and sort of 2 weeks in, they're like, oh, when are we starting Clen? When are we starting this? When are we starting carb cycling? You know, after like the 2 weeks when nothing's really happened yet and you're still feeling out that person, is that still happening? Or have they already done all that before they got to you and they just want you to sort of tweak it a little bit?
Not really in my work. I'm predominantly lifestyle, so I don't work with loads and loads of bodybuilders, but I do work with some of you, and you can feel just sort of the tone of the messages that they got. Right, when are the secrets coming out? When are we getting the good stuff? Like, oh, if maybe they think they have to get past that certain threshold. They're right. I'm friends with him now. Now I'm going to get the real answers.
The 10 mil question.
They seem a bit disappointed.
You see, I used to. I don't get it. My clients now are more 80% lifestyle and 20% competing, and it was obviously the other way when I was competing and the forums and stuff like that. But when I was on the forums, I used to get a lot of people that were like, they would sign up and stuff like that, and they'd be like, right, what's the cycle we're going to do? Where, you know, what are we going to, are we going to do? Are we going to use that? And
forget the diet. Where's the real list?
I don't know if you remember, Tom, but I had one guy from Bristol, actually. I think he was from Swindon. You said he'd been in your gym, and he signed up with me, paid the money, and I give him the plan, and I make it really clear to everybody that the plan I give you is an initial plan. It's what I've created from what we've spoken about and what you've put on the form and everything like that. And it's totally adjustable and everything. you know, even if everything has to be changed, it works with, you know, over those first 2-3 weeks. I
It's a
sent
peg
him
in the sand,
plan.
isn't it?
Yeah, and I sent him a plan, and he was like, "Oh, right." I was like, "What?" Well, to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed. I was like,
Oh, I
"Where's
know
that?"
who you mean. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that guy. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I went, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, on the forums, you're talking about drop sets and pause and this and that, and you know, giant sets and time under tension and all that, and none of that's in this training plan." Yeah, because it's an initial plan to see how you cope with it. I need to know how hard you train, how you know how you cope with the volume, how you cope with this, and you know, and he's like, well, I don't want my money back, but nah, thanks. And that was it. I was like,
It's
okay,
Yeah, I mean, I always say like I sell a process, not a product. And
yeah,
when people do all these like they moan about cut and paste or it's so similar, I actually think this if you sort of put a circle around everyone's starting point, that is when it will be the most similar and almost the most generic. But
yeah,
then from there, a good coach, everybody moves on a different path. But
yeah,
most people, like if someone comes to you and they're a similar size and a similar weight and similar body fat, like their diet's going to be quite sort of similar in terms of the actual makeup, the calories or whatever. And then things change depending on individual response from there. But yeah, people that, or, oh, well, where's my 16-week drug course? Well, I'm not I'm just going to chuck it all at you. Like, let's
yeah.
just work. Or people think they're just going to get everything in one go. Like, oh,
Yeah.
well, no, where's the advanced stuff?
Well, yeah, the training, it's like I've heard people complain about, oh, me and my mate signed up with so and so, and the training was practically the same. You're both beginners or novice. Well, how different do you want it? If he put leg press and you did squat, why is that? Oh, that's okay because that's different. But you know, and I met with a client before here actually, a new female client, and she has she's admitted to herself that she has a bit of an eating disorder. She's a bit obsessed with the scales and stuff like that. So we worked through that and stuff. And I remember saying to her, I'll get all your stuff, I'll get it all in this week, and I'll make a plan, and literally it'll be a flag in the sand. That's where we'll start, and we'll go from there. And she went, perfect, brilliant. But it seems to be those that are on, well, we say Instagram and Facebook now, but let's be honest, 10 years ago it was forums. You know, the only difference now, and I think that's why some of it's a bit different now, is people would go to the forums for all this, you know, where now they bounce from coach to coach to coach. You know, some of the best results I've ever got is with people who stick with me for longer than fucking 2 months.
And I think that also, like that point I made at the beginning, like you go on a forum and you had your moderators and things like that, and people would come, right, this is the person I want to listen to. But then you wouldn't find them on a different chat passing on the advice that they just heard this, like, or they would just quote it, or so and so said,
Yeah. Yeah.
big whatever said, or their name, or their handle, or whatever. But now you have people on Instagram taking something, understanding 75%, then passing it on. And then the next person only understands 75%. And everyone wants to like make their fast buck or create their own content or their followers. I mean, I don't follow that many people on it. So actually, most of my Instagram feed is suggested posts, which actually throws, and you can just, as you go through, you'll see it just, oh, well, everyone's posting the same thing today, or within a week, everyone does the exact same thing, but it becomes very professional and it just becomes a watered down until it's just one kid in a gym on his phone and nothing's happening with no editing or anything like that. But it's all the same message, but it's just come from the top. Whereas I always wanted to go and find out from the best. If I was going to find something out, go to source or as close to source as you can. But nowadays, people, oh, I'll just find the easiest watered down version possible. Then, even though it doesn't make sense.
I've got an article on my website called "The Dummy's Guide to Peptides," and it's about 10 years old now. but
it's
nothing's
the first
changed.
thing I ever read on peptides.
Right, there you go. And I built it, I've edited it over the years slightly, but the only thing that's changed in the peptide world is they now mix them for you, which in my opinion is a whole total bollocks, because you've got no control on how much you're getting of which, if you're getting that in the first place, and stuff like that. But that,
it by mixing it and then sending out hot in whatever temperatures.
well, no, what it is the common ones are obviously GHRPs and GHRH, Mod-GRF and stuff like that, and ipremeline and things like that. The problem with it is once you've mixed it, it starts to degenerate.
Yeah.
And that's just standing in the fridge, standing on the side, no sunlight, and it, just in its ideal world, it starts to degenerate.
Why do they mix it before they send it out? Surely
because someone somewhere has gone, oh, I know where I can make some money. I'll mix it for the lazy bastards, and I'll send that out, and maybe I'll put a bit more GHRH in there instead of ipremeline, because ipremeline is a little bit costly now. And that's how they do it, mate. And that's why they do it. It's a call for it. But that article, Matt, is like by thousands is the most read thing on my website. And I did it because I was getting so many messages from so many people on the forums going, what's the best way to do this? And it wasn't as if I thought, oh, you fuckers, I don't want to be dealing with you minions or anything like that. It was the same answer. Mix with this, do this, do this. So I put it in that. And you mentioned about people quoting where they got the knowledge from. The one thing that made me laugh, but also I was a bit embarrassed actually, was Rich Foster. He introduced me to a couple of people once as the person that taught him everything about peptides. And this person only really knew him. And Rich is obviously, as we all know, a library of knowledge on many, many things. And I'm like, right, you do know that you tell him that I'm slightly embarrassed now because, they don't know me, and all of a sudden, But I think a lot of things were wrong with the forums, but I think more was better with them. Like you said, you had people who spoke the truth. You had people who would genuinely pick you up on, if you take, I remember Scott Francis, there's a name for the past, coming on to UK Muscle and saying if you jab 72 IUs of growth on a Sunday night, you will create more hypertrophy, hyperplasia in the muscle tissue than at any other time. Now, this was back at a time where I really wouldn't give my advice if I hadn't tried it. So I did it. And I gained about 20 pounds in that week. And it went the week after.
I had a friend who did his GH blast. Was that 150 IU in a week or something?
Yeah.
By Wednesday, Thursday, he was having the most horrendous nosebleeds. Like, loads of wear, and it was all bollocks. And I think we all know now that it's nonsense.
Yeah. And there was always that person that would come on and go, all right, I've just done it and this is it now. And it was like you said, nothing's new. And you still get it on Instagram. It's, that's the 5x5 program, but you've done 6x6, or you've done
the 5x5 program then.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's, it's like Matt was saying, it's, this is not keto, but you don't eat any carbs and you just have protein and fats. But it's not keto, it's detoxing.
What?
People are just sort of repackaging the same thing over and over again they just want to sell. But I think like with the forums, this is something to do with all life in terms of like the social media world, not just bodybuilding, but it's how much effort is required to do what you're about to do. Like, I believe the share button should just be deleted because it requires no effort. Whereas if I'm going to actually take something and then copy and paste, or you end up either having a look, see if it's true, like fact checking things. But the amount of bullshit that gets spread in this world now is this because someone read a headline, oh, share that. This is disgusting. Never even read the article. And before you know it, things get out of control and misinformation spread. And that's what happens on Instagram. People see, oh, that this person, and they just, oh, share to story. And then it just spreads, but they haven't even watched it. Whereas I think on a forum, you had to sort of read through everything, take your time, and then, right, I'm going to pass this on. I'm going to really look into this. You couldn't just go, cool, right, I'm going to send this to me mate without even reading it.
But I think some of that on the forum was because there was always 10 or 20 lads on the forum that would pick you up and slaughter you if you put something up that wasn't correct, you know, or I had it quite a few times. Obviously, I was very active on the forums, but people would copy some. I would have massive debates about stuff, and he would copy bits of that and then go and post them on another forum as if they were saying it. And someone would grab him and go, oh, hold on, PSCAB said that and so. And it was a big thing over in America with the moderators that were there at the time. And that's what a lot of guys were doing. So it's sort of like the share, but they were just copying to make themselves feel a little bit more knowledgeable. Because now if you take a picture of a post that's got text in on an iPhone, now you can then copy that text.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Do you remember remember the guy who on UK Muscle? I don't know if you were on UK Muscle, Matt, but there was a guy who was advocating all these like massive trend courses, and he's giving all these women saying it's okay to take trend because you're a woman and everything else. And I can't remember his name now, but
he's a stockbroker in London.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and he
Reeves,
yes.
Yeah,
Reeves,
that's it.
Yeah.
And loads of people were paying him for advice, and it was just literally just take as many drugs as you can. And that, but then foolishly he did a show himself and looked like absolute dog shit. Like that's not what you want to do, is it? If you
put a picture up and then everybody was like, you know, he put a picture up and that was it. Yeah. But you know, the forums are great for that. So what about competing, Matt? Is it that different now to when you first started competing? So you started competing 10 years ago. So
2012. 2012 first show.
So forget knowledge as such, but the experience. Because when I competed, and probably same as Tom, that was it. That was the only thing I thought about, you know, and whatever. Is it because I never paid to compete? I was obviously before that time. So does that influence you when you're choosing shows, or do you not care about that, or is the process slightly different when it comes to outside things rather than not you but the outside?
Because isn't PCA like 50 quid or 60 quid or something to just even register?
I don't know if it's that much.
Not PCA. No, sorry. Two Bros. That was the thing. Sorry.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah, Two Bros. Yeah, they'll have you what? Two Bros, I think you have to pay. When I first started with Two Bros, which wasn't actually that long ago. Well, actually, no. The first show I did with the NPC or whatever, the IFBB, was the Amateur Olympia in Vegas in 2019.
Wow.
No, I'd signed up to that show, paid for the tickets, paid for the registration, everything. Obviously booked Vegas. We were going to Vegas, and then right at the end of the year, Two Bros came out with a rule that to compete abroad in a pro qualifier.
Oh, I remember when that came out.
Yeah, you have to have done a regional. You don't have to place at this regional. You just have to attend. So I kicked up a little bit of a fuss, sent an email and said, look, we've already booked on to Vegas before this rule came out. So can we bypass that? And they allowed us to. But then it came about that you had to have done a regional in a year to then be able to do a pro qualifier, which I thought at the time, well, at first when I first heard it, I thought it's a good idea because nobody should just be able to pay their money and turn up at a pro qualifier. There should be sort of some standard to being at a pro qualifier. It can't just be, oh, I'm just going to pay my fee and get on stage. But then it turned out that you didn't actually have to place at these arenas. There weren't qualifiers. It was just like every time you pass go, so you pay 200 quid. Basically, it was just extra money. It wasn't actually we're doing it to filter out the shit. So the pro qualifiers are a good standard. And then last year, I think a lot of people had done the Arnolds in 2021 and then was going to do like an early show. So they changed the rules again and said now it's not within a year, it's now within a calendar year, January to January, you have to have done a regional. And then the first qualifier of the year, or apparently then to qualify for the British finals, you had to have done a certain show, but that didn't qualify for the Arnolds. Only certain shows then qualified for the Arnolds. And then the Arnolds was £250, like to enter, plus your £60 NPC fee or whatever. And then the show 2 weeks before, I paid £30 for my tan. I just had I only have a top coat. Like Lee does my base coat, then I have a top coat. So it was like £30 for a top coat and £60 if you want like the full works. But then at the Arnold, they said, oh, you can only pick the full works thing and it's £100. So I had to pay the £100 even though I had a top coat. And so it cost me £100 for tan, £250 to enter the show. So you're looking at like 300 before you even considered hotels and things like that. I mean, I know that's part of it and the travel and all that, but just to get on the stage, obviously I had to have done the regional. The regionals was 150 plus tan. You're looking at like £500 to go and do like a pro qualifier in your own country. And I just think it's
and to think
these are mental. And considering you go to a show that's sort of mediocre stage and mediocre lighting because they have that golden ticket of the pro card. I mean, there was one, and if you went to multiple classes, you obviously have to pay again. Some girl at the Arnold did 5 classes.
what?
Like it must have cost her nearly £1,000.
You win.
And I don't understand the mentality of like I pay it because obviously I want a pro card and I pay it begrudgingly. But there's some people that are just like, oh, I just dipping my toe in. Like they know they're not gonna. I just want to stand on an Arnold Classic stage, and they know they're not going to win, or even be like a chancellor. And I just think it's mental that the fees that they ask for, and because they just have that pro card to waive, everyone's like, yeah, take my money.
Just imagine. Just imagine if there came a time where you'd need competitors to have a federation. What would they do then? Fucking hell, man! I'll tell you, I couldn't. I like I said, I stopped. We stopped competing when the only thing you had to pay was your membership. You know, I remember rocking up at the Southwest, and the only thing I had to pay was 20 quid for the NABA membership.
Because if you qualified. You have your yearly membership, don't you? When you qualify, you don't have to pay to enter Britain, do you? Because you qualified to be there, you've earned your place.
I think that was still true when I had the British in 2017, and I think I paid my NABA membership, and that was it.
I don't think NABA charged that much. I think they do charge now to compete on top of the membership, but I don't think it's much. I'll give them credit for that, and believe me, that's begrudgingly giving them fucking credit. But I think without a doubt, the PCA, when we're talking about federations, are probably the most popular. I think that from the shows I've seen, and I agree with you, Matt, the lighting is shit. But from the shows I've seen, the amount of people that are on their stages, week in, week out, is massive. I know, like you said, the two bro stuff, people want to qualify and then do the bigger shows and stuff like that. But I think from pure numbers, I think the PCA are still top of that. And it's really weird to believe that, you know, I get memories from, you know, 6-7 years ago where Ryan was just starting out promoting the Saxon and stuff like that. And him and, you know, Warren and stuff like that have really built that federation from social media, you know, from just, you know, and I'm just surprised that not many other federations have actually then gone, here's a trick we could use, you know, just hit social media really, really hard and get the word out, you know. So, which then brings you...
Go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, which then brings you full circle back to NABA using a paper poster to advertise one of the most, you know, wanted to compete competitions like the universe, you know, and the fact that they're still doing that is unbelievable when you've got federations like the PCA that are, I think even the UKBFF do, you know, digital and social media now.
Yeah, I just think NABA's obviously, I mean, even when I think my first year in NABA was 14, I did 14, 15 and 17 there. I mean, especially at the Northeast, it was like the old man's club. Like it was just very sort of stuck in its ways and not willing to change. But then as time gone on, they've just sort of been left. And rather than someone thinking maybe we should actually either employ someone to use social media, but it's difficult. Like Ryan at the head of the PCA, he's a very smart businessman, but he doesn't just. Whereas I believe Two Bros is business at all costs. Ryan is business at all costs, and also, but let's give the bodybuilders what they want, and let's give the viewers what they want, and they're willing to sort of try and make. And they're always taking things on board, but it is a business. But you don't feel like they're just trying to make money at all costs. I do believe that they put on a good show and they try to actually. They take pride and they have standards in it. Whereas sometimes I think too, they just think, well, these people are going to pay whatever, so why would I fork out on lights when it's just going to hit my bottom line?
Yeah.
And I just believe their standards are a little bit. It's almost as if they just don't care, because the money's not going to stop.
I judged, obviously last year I judged for FitX, which inevitably became my last year judging. And I judged the Bournemouth show for FitX, and the FitX show was on the same day as a Bournemouth show for Two Bros that happened to be at a festival. And this is the one where they had no electric and like I think the hair girls, the people that were coming to do the competitors' hairs were like setting up, and there was no electric, and they were like, right, fuck, and they went. And half the female competitors came over to FitX that day, and they were paying like $125 just to compete, and they were getting changed in their cars.
Classic, when the Claremont one where it was hay. That was your seats.
Yeah.
Really?
But the thing is, they got away with it because people just keep going back.
I can't believe that. Imagine, and they blamed it all on COVID, didn't they? Oh, it's all COVID stuff.
Yeah, but even I remember they managed the COVID thing terribly, because I think I had a client who he was due to compete, and it was like the first show of the year, and all the other federations had literally said, "Look, it's off. The shows are off." And Two Bros were, "No, it's all right. We've got a deal in place. The show's on. The show's on." And you're then pushing people in sort of the realms of where prep gets really shit. Like, and he was like, the show's on. Then 2 days out, they knew it was being cancelled no matter what, but they just thought, let's just, if everyone else is cancelled but we're still on, we're going to get more registration fees. It's going to direct us here, because they never refunded anyone that I'm aware of. It was just, we'll move it on to the next show. But they knew exactly what they were doing, but they just left it to the very last minute as cancelled. And again, I just think that shows everything you need to know about how they actually do. They care about the bodybuilders.
Yeah, it's the integrity that they have in the federation. I am a bit biased with FitX because obviously I judge with them and Rich and Darren and stuff like that. I like the people that are behind it and stuff, and I really think that they have the best interests for the competitors at heart, and I hope it lasts and lasts. But it's the integrity that you give, like you said, PCA. Had the competitors at heart at the beginning. I'm not in with it really now, so I don't know what it's like. But FitX have Two Bros don't, like you said, they don't give a fucking shit, So what did they do when Arnold didn't turn up? They just renamed the thing, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think that was a Two Bros thing. That was the organizer of the festival or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that was technically, to be fair to them, on them.
All right, wasn't it?
No, because I think
I
the
do know
Arnold.
that I do know that the
Arnold,
headlines that came out weren't said in context, which is what we said earlier.
yeah, like I said, I think the Arnold Festival there was the Arnold UK, which was that director who was, I think he got done for many counts of fraud.
Yeah.
And then Eddie Hall was direct. Eddie Hall resigned, but I think Two Bros were obviously a part of. They sort of paid the Arnold Festival or whatever to be there. I think the actual thing between Arnold's,
Right.
from what I read, it was something like, obviously they probably had to pay a sanction fee to be allowed to use the Arnold name, and they never paid the money. And I think it was a lot of money. So I think that's why Arnold turned around, and I don't think he was ever coming the year before either. I think that was again just, let's just sell some tickets on the premise that Arnold's coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do believe that wasn't necessarily a Two Bros thing.
So what's in your future, Matt?
My plan is for a long time, I think like towards my late 20s, my goal was always, I want a British title. I want to win the British Championships. And obviously at that point, the biggest one was PCA, the UK BFF. Like when I grew up, and I'll mention this as well. It's weird now. Like as I was getting into it, social media wasn't a thing. I never sort of saw bodybuilding on social media. I competed in 2012 and then sort of started to learn who the people were within the bodybuilding world very slowly.
Right.
I wasn't aware of the bodybuilding world before I competed. I just loved to train. Obviously, I knew about the professional side of things, but I wasn't actually that big of a follower of it. So it was always in Nottingham, the top 6 in Britain was like the ultimate.
Yeah.
It was like the pinnacle of, if you can get a top 6 in the British finals in Nottingham, like you'd made it. And you remember all the names and you watched every year and you saw the guy when he's pro cup, but top 6 was unbelievable. Like, I speak to people now, I'm not going to win the British next week, so I'm not going.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sort of like, I'm not going to win my pro cup, I'm not going to win, so what's the point? And I think it's almost like there's a naivety now to modern bodybuilding that unless you win the British finals, there's no point. Like it's almost no pride in. I say to people, like, if you finish top 6 in Britain, it's unbelievable. But I think social media is now that like now that's a shit achievement. Whereas when I was growing up, but then I always think about it, and then I became a top 6 in Britain, and then it's sometimes you have to stand back and say, actually, like 8 years ago, this was my dream. But as you get older and better, you sort of lose sight of, and there's always someone in front of you. But in my late 20s, I always wanted a British title. And then I finished 3rd in the British finals at NABA in 2017 and 3rd at PCA in 17. 18, I came 3rd again. 19, I came 2nd. Then in 2020, I did COVID, didn't have a British, so I did the UK Open, which I won the overall. And I was like, right, I'm there. and then I went to Two Bros. And now I went to the PCA Expo, and when I went to PCA, it felt like I was going home. Like when I do a Two Bros show, from the moment I register to the moment I'm done, I just want it to be over. I don't feel like it's a fun day or a fun experience. Whereas when I go to a PCA show, I'm almost like, this is where I belong. Like it's a nice experience. The day everyone backstage is, you have a chat and you see people you know. All the people that I sort of grew up with through bodybuilding are there. So I made the decision that my goal is win the British next year.
Right, with the PCA.
With the PCA, because I haven't actually won anything. Like I've got several overalls and firsts and things like that, and a lot of shows where I've placed very highly at. But in 30, 40 years' time, I want to look back and actually say, I actually have a title.
Yeah.
I mean, wife competed once and she's a British champion and a PCA pro. So I'm sat here.
Is that why you sleep in that room now? Is that why you sleep in that room now?
Yeah. So I'm the worst bodybuilder in the house. So I think I need to sort of get back to what I really wanted, and that was a British. And then if you win the British, obviously you can move into the PCA Pro League and 3 pro shows a year, and like with at the minute it's like £2,500 for a first place. You can earn a decent little bit of pocket money.
Well, what you just said there, I don't know about Tom, because obviously the whole purpose of prep was for us to compete against each other in one fed. So I don't know about UKBFF and whatever, but what you've just said there is how I felt about NABA. So when I was competing with NABA in the 2005 to 2012, I always say was my time sort of thing, and I went to the West Britain was my show. It was the Southwest. I had so much support coming up from Plymouth to Exeter and stuff, and I just loved it. I loved the split routine, the prejudging in the day, go out, have some food, and then the night show. I just loved the whole thing. But Southport was just immense. It was a weekend that you sort of, obviously you was concentrated on competing and things like that, but you were looking forward to it. You were looking forward to seeing people, to getting into the hotel next to Southport, the big Ramada thing, and seeing everybody, and and on show day and stuff like that. And obviously I remember going to Nottingham, when like Tom competed and stuff like that. And it was the same there. I remember when I first met Sean Taverner. Sean was at Nottingham and he knew me from UK Muscle. And I met him just after he won his first timers. And then weirdly enough, 10 days later, we were training together at Castle's gym in Windsor. But, so many memories of those two things. And the fact that now people like yourself, Matt, have got the same thing with a PCA, and I think in time, the same thing will happen with FetX if it keeps on going down the path that they're going down now. But you're never going to get that at somewhere, like you said, somewhere like Two Bros, where the real driving force is not the success of the competitors, it's the money that can make from the show.
Yeah,
it's very emotionless, I feel, whereas like I think FitX has got, I don't want to say it, but that sort of family feel type thing where
definitely
you do
definitely.
that when you go there, no matter what qualifier, whatever, you're going to see people, and you want to sit down and you have a chat to a bit like it's why I like going to the expos. Expos are shit. Like we know they are. You've been to one, you've been to all of them, but you go to them because of the people that you bump into, and the like-minded people, and the people that the only other time you actually get time to chat is on Instagram, direct message or WhatsApp or things. But for a little while, you get to sort of actually talk face to face with people that you actually like in the industry.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the expos, I wouldn't get to meet a lot of the people that I know and known and know now, new people like yourself and stuff like that, because I think expos are definitely a good thing. I'm glad PCA have got one now. I heard it was quite good. So we've now got a choice, which is a good thing. Right, you want to? We've been going on there.
Just
You got-
just on an hour,
you
and
missed this, Tom.
Matt's bedtime is 8:45, and we're
I'll eat first.
2 minutes away from that, so you got to brush your teeth.
Yeah, Leo will be calling her up in a minute. Come on, brush your teeth.
So, Matt, thanks very much for coming on podcast and sharing some of your new age knowledge and your wisdom from the younger generation, and helping Paul reminisce.
I feel like I'm now Marty Dinosaur, because there's a newer generation. I didn't get a chance to be it because all of it moves so fast in the last I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I never got a chance to sort of just enjoy being a young bodybuilder. A bodybuilder's prime. Now I'm just the old Marty one that just moans about all the new shit.
Well, you've got two people above you on that one, so that's cool. But seriously, great privilege to have you on, Matt. Seriously, we wanted to get you on for a while, so thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on here ever since I remember the series, the DVDs.
A long time ago. That was 8 years ago.
But you know, it's still and will always be the best thing I ever did in bodybuilding. So it's all memories, isn't it? Which is what we've been talking about mostly today. And I think when people listen to this and watch it, I think that will spark memories for them and when they competed and things like that. And then half the audience will just go, look at those 3 old bastards gassing on.
Yeah. So, Matt, where can people find you on social media?
He doesn't want to be found.
Matt Toften on Instagram.
Such an ingenious
Facebook.
nickname.
Yeah, it's just my name. Search that. Yeah, there's not a lot of it's just me moaning, really.
Good quality content.
And doing front double biceps.
Yeah.
In your garden. Yeah.
Paul, where can people find you if they want to?
Team P-Scarb or P-Scarb is pretty much where it's at. That's my site. And schools and stuff.co.uk. Look on there. The new designs are dropping in 2 weeks. It's not really a trained by JP drop, but you know, I'll get there.
And Tom Blackman _nutrition for me. Oh, hold on. Matt, have you got 2 secs just to wait around for a word from our sponsors? Yeah. Okay, we're just going to do a word from our sponsors. Okay, thanks for that.
Right, excellent, brilliant. Yeah. So
see you all soon, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, cheers, Matt. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you for having me.